My wheelhouse is helping guide amazing entrepreneurs like yourself.
We all know Mark Cuban from his role as a shark investor on the famous television show Shark Tank. Being one of the richest sharks, he is also one of the most reliable, having made 87.5% of the deals made on air, which is almost double all the other sharks. But what makes the successful entrepreneur so special? Not only does Mark Cuban hold a whopping net worth of $4.7 billion to his name, Mark also made an impressive feat of making his way into the Guinness Book of Records for making the largest single e-commerce transaction. And what could he possibly buy online to make a world record, you ask? A Gulfstream V private jet for $40 million. While Mark Cuban often talks about hard work and focus being keys to success, it was never really clear to us how he made it to the top of the top. So for today's video, I'll be talking about how Mark Cuban became the only regular billionaire to appear on Shark Tank. If Mark Cuban is someone you aspire to be, make sure to stay until the end of this video. Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button and hit the subscribe and notification bell if you haven't already done so. Mark was never born rich, with his father being a humble car upholsterer, but he always had the drive to make money whenever he could. At 12, he sold garbage bags to afford the sneakers he wanted. And at 16, when the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette went on strike, Mark used this as an opportunity to sell newspapers from Cleveland to the people of Pittsburgh. At a very young age, Mark showed prowess in entrepreneurship. Mark had big dreams. He dedicated himself to working as hard as he could to graduate high school a year earlier than his peers, allowing him to enroll in the University of Pittsburgh, as he was a huge fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. A year later, though, Mark decided that he wanted to focus his career on finance. So he moved to Indiana University. The love of money never left. On the side, Mark worked in a local pub and taught disco lessons for income. When Mark finally achieved his degree in business administration, Mark found his way back home to Pennsylvania and started his career at Mellon Bank, which was in the process of digitalizing its company. Here, Mark found interest in the potential of tech. A year later, the career-driven future billionaire left the bank in search of a job that would broaden his horizons of technology and picked up a job at a company called Your Business Software in Dallas, Texas. In an unfortunate turn of events at Your Company Software, Mark was fired for meeting up with a client instead of opening up shop. But little did Mark know this was his chance at a big break. Mark decided it was finally time to start his own business, so that's exactly what he did and started Micro Solutions. Mark took notes from Your Company Software, but Mark knew that he could do better. He believed that execution was way more important than ideas. To him, everybody could think of great ideas, but to succeed, you would have to execute them. He never let passion drive the course of his life. Mark believed opportunities were the key to success. There was opportunity hidden in Micro Solutions, as he had already built his client base at his old job and sold them the idea that his firm was just better. Mark really had a knack for tech, quickly adapting to new technology such as remote screen sharing, client-server software platforms, and the internet. In just 7 years, Mark turned his startup into one of the leading software firms, growing by $30 million in revenue, and in 1990, Micro Solutions was sold to CompuServe for $6 million. Unlike many of us, Mark never dreamed of becoming a billionaire. He just wanted financial freedom. His first order of business, party hard. So he cashed in American Airlines Unlimited Pass for $600,000. Being one of only 25 who have this, allowed him to travel as many times as he wanted in first class. It didn't take long for Mark to realize that he wasn't fulfilled. Todd Wagner, Mark's friend from college, introduced Cameron Jebb, who started Cameron Audio Networks, which specialized in streaming out-of-town sports in 1989. He didn't want to get involved in another company, but when the opportunities came to light, he couldn't refuse. Mark was always a huge basketball fan and was interested in the company and agreed to invest $10,000 for a 2% share of the company. What's surprising is that Mark agreed to such a high amount given that the company hasn't launched yet, as Cameron was still working on its streaming rights. It didn't take long for Mark to build an attachment to this business. In fact, it didn't take long at all for Mark to take over the business. The company was rebranded to Broadcast.com in 1998 and grew at fast rates, accumulating over 500,000 users within the first few years. During the dot-com bubble, the company was expected to be valued at a few million, but when Mark took the company public in 1998, the company's stock soared to a stellar 250%, on the first day of trading, valuing the company at $1 billion. And with a 30% stake in the company, Mark saw his net worth rise to a hulking $300 million. In 1999, the company would diversify by venturing into video streaming. That same year, Yahoo offered Mark $5.7 billion for his company, and without a thought, agreed, as it would easily up his net worth to $1 billion. This would turn out as a terrible acquisition by Yahoo, as the service would end up shutting down in 2002. That was probably Yahoo's fault. I mean, streaming is the billion-dollar idea today. Just take a look at how well Netflix and other streaming platforms are doing. Netflix alone is worth $250 billion. Yahoo really wasted the opportunity with Broadcast.com. Within a year, Mark sold all of his Yahoo stocks. Pretty wise when you know what's coming. With that, Mark was not only a billionaire in paper, but in cold hard cash. Mark admitted that was extremely lucky with Broadcast.com. He admitted that starting over again with a goal to reach millions wouldn't be a problem. But if we talk about billions, he'd have to get lucky again. With his newfound wealth, Mark began to live everybody's dreams of living the life of luxury, buying the Dallas Mavericks for $285 million in 2000, just because he loved the team. Thanks to the team's amazing performance, this turned out to be a great investment for Mark. Today, the team is valued at $2.7 billion, 10 times Mark's investment. Mark was always fond of showbiz. He produced a show called The Benefactor, where contestants would compete for $1 million. The show, however, failed miserably in its ratings, and the show was canceled. Thanks to Shark Tank, Mark finally had his own taste in proper showbiz, where it didn't take him long to become not just a regular on the show, but one of the most sought investors. With Mark on board, the show's ratings skyrocketed, and thanks to Mark, over 100 aspiring entrepreneurs launched their startups, investing over $19.85 million on air. These numbers are probably close to $40 million, which is the highest any shark has invested in the show. When push comes to shove, Mark would always have the aspiring entrepreneurs back. The show originally asked entrepreneurs for a share of profit or equity if they wanted to appear on the show. However, Mark Cuban was outraged by this and threatened to leave the show if they didn't drop the tax, as the show was already doing well. Unsurprisingly, the company agreed. Well, that's just how important he was. Do you think Mark Cuban's success was based on pure luck? Was it his determination? Was it something else? What would you do with $1 billion? Let us know in the comments.